everything that you need to know about breeding in Axie Infinity. When I first got into Axie Infinity and I wanted to understand breeding, and I saw pictures like this, or even this, it was very hard to understand what breeding actually was. And in this video, you're gonna learn everything there is to breeding. The video is gonna be divided into the following categories: the basic mechanics of breeding, breeding fee and profitability, what axies you actually should breed and how to find them, and using the breeding simulator. Starting with the basic mechanics of breeding, breeding in Axie Infinity is a system that allows you to create a new Axie. Every breed in Axie Infinity is a evidence that someone has played the game for a certain amount of time, earned enough SLP to complete the breeding process, and then used the SLP to breed and create a new axis. If you press the breed button on any of the axes that you own, you will be presented with this screen. Then you can select another axie to breed with and press the Let's Breed button. After that, you're gonna receive an egg, which will hatch in about 5 days, and then you will find out what kind of axis you managed to get from the breeding process. There's a lot of mechanics that go into the breeding though, like the genes that your axie has and the genes that it can pass to the child. So if you hover over the stats section, you will find the genes of this axie, and in the first column you have the D, which is the dominant gene. So those genes are most likely to be passed to the offspring, and then R1 is recessive genes, which are less likely to be passed on to the offspring, and they can have some mutations. And then R2 is recessive 2, which is least likely to be passed on to the offspring. You can see that some of these are colored differently. That's because my axie is a reptile, so the reptile cards and genes are purple, but he has some mutations which could change the cards up a little bit when the offspring pops out. The last 4 sections in every column are responsible for the cards that you see. So you see right here, Tiny Turtle, Cerastes, Trisparks, and Iguana is the cards that this axie possesses. That's because it's in the first column of the genes. Then you have Scar and Pogona. This is the eyes and the ears. So you see Scar is the eye and Pogona is the ear of the axie. Because this is a pure, it has 6 parts from a reptile. The health is the maximum statistics for this particular axie. If it was to have a mutation, let's say Chubby would jump into the offspring and it would be in the dominant section, the eye would be from a beast. Therefore, the stat would lower down from 57 to 54, but the morale would increase because of the beast part. So, and lastly, before you breed, you're gonna need to pay a fee. The fee can range anywhere from 600 SLP all the way up to 10,000 SLP, as well as 1 AXS per breed. The SLP cost is depending on the breed count of a axie, and you can find the breed count right at the top. So this axie has been bred twice, therefore the 3rd breed is gonna be a little bit more expensive and maybe not even worth it to do it again. The breed count table is right here on the screen, so you can see how much SLP you need to pay for every single breed. Moving over to the second section, we have the cost of breeding as well as its profitability. And a website that you can use is Chill Axie. It's going to have everything that you need regarding breeding. And you can see right here the amount of SLP and the AXS together come up as a dollar value for you. So the dollar value will be changing, all depends on the price of SLP and AXS. And if you select the first breed, at the right at the bottom, you're going to be presented with a total amount. And if you go over all of those breeds, all 7 of them, total cost to breed an axie 7 times will be $2.7K. So that's not going to be profitable for every single axie, but there are some axies which can be bred 7 times. But sticking to the basics, 2 breeds is most likely going to be profitable. And let's look at an example. $160 for the first breed, $180 for the second breed. So what you have to do is take 2 axies, purchase them first and then see if breeding them for $160 is going to make you profitable after the offspring pops out after 5 days and after incurring the marketplace fee, because whenever you sell an Axie, you pay a fee of 4.25%. So let's look at an example of the reptiles that I have shown you, which are in my inventory, and let's see if we can make those two breeds profitable. Before you jump into looking for Axies on the marketplace, what you would want to do is download the free Axie extension for your Google Chrome that allows you to get a little bit more insight to the genes when looking through the Axies. This is the free extension app. You can see the health, the stat, the morale, and the purity percentage, as well as the breed count on every single Axie on the marketplace, so you don't have to click into them individually. It's free. It's not a sponsored thing, so you can just download it and make your life easier. So the reptile that I have currently has tri-spikes, tiny turtle, as well as iguana, and then cerastes as well. So if you look at a virgin, because a virgin is what pops out of the egg, you can see that a reptile like that will cost $290, but that's for 55 health, and I have 57. So $314 is what you would get if there are no mutations in the offspring, and you get a pure reptile with the maximum health. So if you take away the 4.25% of the market fee, that's going to leave you with $300 on the nose. And if you take away the breeding fee for the first breed, that would be $169, leaving you with $131 in profit. So that's not bad, and that's taking the first example right off the edge, not looking for anything specific. There are maybe a couple of classes such as aquas that have been bred massively over the last couple of months, and those will have lower profit margins. The second section, we have the breeding process. Now that you know that breeding can potentially be profitable and you know what breeding is, you might want to look at the process of breeding and how many Axies you actually need to breed infinitely. There's a loop of breeding and you need to be aware of that. So starting off, you're gonna need to purchase 3 Axies that you have found for breeding. We're gonna go over now what kind of Axies you might look at, but just for the example's sake, you're gonna need to purchase 3 Axies. Then name them something that you can track. I decided to go for G11 and then G12 on the second one and G13. What does that mean? First generation of this breeding process, and then the number for each Axie. After you got your 3 Axies, you're gonna breed the first with the second one 2 or 3 times depending on your profitability margin. It's usually going to be up to 3 times if you are going for the pure Axies. Then once those eggs hatch, you will name them G21 and G22 because it's the second generation of Axies that you have in this breeding process. And those 2 newly bred Axies, you will pick one of them and then breed it with G13. You still with me? Quite difficult to understand at first, but it gets very simple. And then you have another set of 2 eggs and you can name them G31 and G32 as it is the 3rd generation of the Axies, and you select one of those eggs and you breed it with the uncle from the 2nd generation. And you can continue that process infinitely to have a Axie farm and then obviously sell the parents as you go on for a little bit of profit margin. And once you do the calculations, which we have done for the first example, you can find that it can be a profitable endeavor to get yourself into using this method. Now there's a couple of other methods. I never used them, so I'm not going to talk about them because I don't know that much about them. But this method is called ABC, and it's quite simple to understand once you get into breeding. Now that you know that it can be profitable and you know the method to do it, so you can do it infinitely, you might want to look for some Axies to breed and then run some simulations on them. So in this section, we're gonna go through what to breed. Now this is a very difficult question to answer because every person that's breeding Axies is making profit from them. So they're not just gonna give you flat out examples on what to breed, because you're gonna start breeding and you're gonna be a competition on the market for their axies. You might get the prices lower and then they're not gonna make as much profit. So nobody is really gonna tell you flat out what you should breed. But if you are starting out, it is probably a good idea to stick to the pure axies, because they have less chance of a mutation, and then therefore it's less variance and less risk. So let's find something that's pure. To play with the filters, you want to decrease the breed count to 0, because you want to have a virgin. If you don't have a virgin, you're gonna have a higher cost of breeding, and you don't want that. You want a fat 0 right at the front, so you know that this Axie is a virgin, and you will have lower cost for breeding. Then you want to increase the pureness all the way to 6, and then select the class that you want to look into. You can see that beasts are usually the cheapest one to purchase and breed. But let's take a look at plants. I think they have a quite decent profitability margin, and you can start entering some of the filters that you are looking at. So maybe start off with pumpkin and watering can for the back parts. Then right at the front you can have cactus as well as beech. And then on the tail you can have hotbot or a carrot. Both will do just fine. And then for the mouth, you can just go for serious, or you can go for zigzag if you manage to get one like that. And we are looking at a price of $275, as maybe zigzag together with the carrot is not the best combo. But let's look at the one with hotbot. What you want to do when you find an Axie like this is look at the stats of this particular Axie. It's not showing up right here, but it will show here. So we can see in the R1, it is a mixture of genes, and those will maybe go over to your offspring and then make it not pure, so it's going to increase the variance a little bit. Some of those cards can actually increase the value of your Axies, but you have to know what you are looking for. So let's take one like that, and then take one that is a bit more pure, and we can run a simulation. So what you want to do is copy the ID of this Axie. You can go into it and then copy the ID. Every Axie is unique, so they have an ID attached to them. So to run the simulation, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is go into this Axie and copy the ID. Every Axie is unique, so it's going to have an ID attached to it, and then select 2 of these Axies. So we're going to go for this one as well as this one, and enter it into the simulator, which you can find at axie.zone. Then just enter the ID of the Axies right here, and here we go. It's going to download the genes from the marketplace, and what we can do is look at the odds. So these odds are the mathematical percentages of what can come out when you breed those 2 Axies based on the genes that it has. So the color doesn't really matter, the pattern doesn't really matter, but we are interested in the tail, in the mouth, in the back, as well as in the horn, because those are the cards that are going to be used to play the game. So hotbot 85% is not bad. Rice could be a good mutation that can increase the price of this Axie. Pumpkin at the back, also not bad. And then on the horn we have 75% for beech, and then potential mutation of leaf bug, arco and pokey, as well as cactus. So all of those cards are still not bad. And on the mouth we have 90% to have a zigzag, 10% of serious, and then confident is probably the worst card that you can get. Ears as well as eyes, very high percentages for plant or reptile, which means that you're gonna have a very high health Axie. And then you can press the breed button, and that's gonna pop up with a simulation, and you're gonna have the mutation number right here if there were any. So we can see that this particular simulation had a mutation on the ear, therefore it's gonna have a little bit less health, because it does have 56 rather than the maximum of 61 from these 2 Axies. It also had a mutation in the horn card, which came out to be a leaf bug, but that's not bad, because leaf bug is a very, very good card for your plant. And you can run this simulation as many times as you want. I usually run it about 10-20 times before I do my Axie breeding, and you can see look at all of the mutations mutations that are potentially going to happen. Now this one had mutations, but it still came out as a pure plant. This one had a lot of mutations, so it came out with 2 beast part and 1 bug part. All of those looking quite good. Acro on a plant, probably not preferable. Now this one had a risky beast, still 55 health. That's a very high damage card, which could be useful depending on what you are looking for the plant. This one had 1 mutation as well, so you can see that only 2 out of 10 simulations had a plant with maximum health. The rest had mutations. So if you are looking to breed plants that have 61 health, then maybe those 2 are not the best examples based on the low sample size of our simulations. But if you are looking for plant that can come out with a beast part because it maybe increases the profitability, you would have to check it in the marketplace, then these 2 would be good. Let's say risky beast increases the price of this plant by $50. We don't know, but let's check in the market to see this theory. That particular simulation had beach as well as hotbot, and then it had zigzag, and it had risky beast. So let's see what kind of axes we are presented with. Looks like we are not going to be presented with any. Let's try this again. They are actually known for sale. So, and there's only 8 of them in existence. So what you can do is go into each individual one, scroll down and see how much they have been purchased for. So this one has been purchased for almost 0.1 Ethereum. The second one has been purchased for 0.1 Ethereum in September. The next one also 0.1. So we can expect to sell this Axie for 0.1 Ethereum as long as it has 58 health. But even the one with 56 health still sold for 0.1 Ethereum. So that could be an example of a mutation that increases your profit margin once you get into those breeding processes. So hopefully today I made it a little bit easier for you to find information about breeding, and this guide will take you all the way from setting your first steps in Axie Infinity breeding to knowing what you actually want to do within the breeding process. I currently have a couple of breeding reptiles myself, and I have 4 eggs on the way, and I will update you guys how these breedings go for me. I've already made one video on how much I made breeding reptiles for the first time, so if you want to check that one out, you can go into this video right here. But that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, let me know in the comment section down below what you would like to see next, and if you enjoyed this video, then let me know as well, and I will see you in the next one.